First up, New York Times published a damning story this week about women who claim Donald Trump groped and assaulted them. This on the heels of putting his tax returns on the front page. Now Trump is threatening to sue the paper. By now, just about everyone has seen this.
Grab him by the I could do anything.
During Sunday's presidential debate, Anderson Cooper asked Trump about that crude braggadocio.
You did not actually kiss women without consent or grope women without consent.
I have great respect for women.
Have you ever done those things?
Women have respect for me. And I will tell you, no, I have not.
But following that denial, two women told the New York Times they were groped and assaulted by Donald Trump. One was businesswoman Jessica Leeds.
His hands were all over me. He started encroaching on my space. And I hesitate to use this expression, but I'm going to. And that is, he was like an octopus. It was like he had 6 arms. He was all over the place.
That prompted 2 more women to come forward.
To run through the big 4 that are breaking this morning, there's a People magazine reporter, there's a photographer's assistant.
Trump has demanded that the New York Times retract its story, and his lawyers are threatening a libel suit. A Times lawyer essentially told Trump to get lost, saying they did not print anything worse than he has already admitted.
I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed. I standing there with no clothes.
Meanwhile, other news organizations reporting the allegations are covering their tracks.
Again, from 2 sources. CNN has not confirmed that.
Accusations NBC News has not been able to independently verify.
But accusations that appear to have a snowball effect. You know, one of the criticisms I've heard of the media on all of this is that after giving hours and hours, $10 billion worth of free airtime to Donald Trump, that this is pushback time and that they're letting these women have their say. And CNN did an hour last night with Jessica Leeds with, just basically gave her, she was extremely credible, but that's beside the point. It was a full hour. That's all anybody has been talking about is this story. It's just dominated the news cycle. There?
Yeah, sure, of course. Of course it's going to dominate the news cycle, just as Trump, in the Trump boomlet in its infancy, had all the elements that TV news, particularly cable TV with its bottomless appetite for stuff, loves. It had tabloid, it had celebrity, etc., unpredictability. So too does all of this. I mean, this is classic. I don't know what people would have the media do. Is it overkill? Sure, but everything's overkill. It is always concerning to me when media outlets promote allegations. And I don't know if these are criminal allegations or not. That's a whole other question I haven't seen brought up. But when they promote allegations without corroboration. Right. Now, in the case of Bill Cosby, you had depositions. I mean, you had court documents. You had corroborating evidence of a certain type that you don't yet have here. It's he said, she said.
And there's more that came out. It was just the Washington Post person this afternoon came and told the Washington Post that she was groped and assaulted. So there's more and more coming. But you're right. There's no corroboration. I mean, and even just saying, we can't verify that, I don't know if it's good.
Well, there isn't the kind of corroboration we would like to have, but the Times did go out of its way to find people that these 2 women had spoken to in the immediate aftermath of the incident. And they had told friends about it at the time that it happened, and then they hadn't said anything for a long time.
That would be the Anita Hill standard.
Yeah. Right,
there
exactly.
were no independent witnesses to Clarence Thomas's alleged behavior, but other people who she told.
Right, exactly. I want to make a point about the libel suit, that the libel letter that the New York Times wrote in response to Trump's threat. It was hilarious. And what I got such a kick out of was the notion that, first of all, they asserted that it was true, which is always the best defense in a libel case. But they also said Trump is basically libel-proof because these women are not alleging anything that goes beyond what he already said he did on the tape.
Exactly.
And they said, I don't know why he's saying that we're damaging his reputation because he doesn't have one.
Right.
So, which I thought was rather bold for a corporate lawyer, but whatever. So back to the corroboration. I don't think the Times would have gone this far without having some other information that we don't yet even know about. Whether they have to tell us about it, I don't know. Because that makes me a little queasy, too. I want to make sure that, people are not just riding a bandwagon, as it were. On the other hand, this is actually at the regular course of an arc of a story. So this tape comes out, we're horrified, people respond to it, and now it has morphed a little bit into a bigger discussion about sexual assault. And what happens? So the young woman who has started the not okay hashtag, thousands and thousands of women have said, hey, this happened to me. So whether or not it happened with Donald Trump is aside from the point in this case. They are proving that this is something that should be discussed, that it happens all the time. Do not wave it away. This is something that we should be paying attention to. So we have that going on for us. So I think as the media, I guess I'm reacting against jumping up and down on it, because the media is sort of following the course of the story, which has morphed into several other stories out of this. Now, are you saying to me at the end of it, it comes back to whether, his campaign? Of course it does. And it's kind of scary that we're talking about, sexual escapades at the center of a campaign.
I have a couple of points. I mean, first of all, I think that what the New York Times put out there, it didn't feel like it was the complete picture. And it was a lot of, one person's, testimony, if you will, or story of what happened to them. And if they do have additional information, I think that's something that they should have shared, the first time they came out with a story like this. But, my second point is that I do believe that this is overkill. It's one thing, it's an important story to cover. Donald Trump himself got up there and said he had never done any of these things. These were just things that he talked about. So if you put yourself out there and you say that and people come forward, you deserve that, something like this should be covered. But giving it an hour? When there are so many pressing issues out there to cover, whether it's the economy or whether it's national security or whatever it may be, there are more important issues for us as reporters to be focusing on than an hour.
One of the problems is, though, that he is fighting back by calling each and every one of them a liar. Right. They fabricated it. They're doing this for self-aggrandizement. When you listen to that woman last night, Jessica Leeds, there's nothing in it for her. Nothing. And you could tell by listening to her. So
I would only push back and say an hour on sexual assault is never enough. I mean, there should be more of that. We should be talking about it. To your point, though, if you're talking about an hour on one victim, one, okay. Yes, I know that's what it was, but I'm saying I'm making the difference.
Oh, the issue is a very important issue, and we should spend, a week talking about it, because it is an issue. It's a cancer.
But he's the last person on earth to complain about overkill because of all the excessive attention he got from the media early on,
that's what I'm saying.
unedited.
But some of it does feel like payback a little bit.